Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back once again, class 8, to your chemistry online class. In the last lecture, I had taken up the laboratory preparation of hydrogen and the Bosch process, by which we prepare hydrogen on a large scale. Now let's proceed on further. Today, I hope you are revising your chapter and completing the written work. So, starting with the properties of hydrogen, that is the physical properties of hydrogen. So, starting with the physical properties, that hydrogen is a colorless, that means it doesn't have any color. Odorless means doesn't have any smell. Tasteless, without any taste. Non-poisonous means non-toxic, that if you inhale it, that it will not cause any problem, not cause any toxicity or damage to your body. Is it clear? And is a non-metallic, highly combustible diatomic gas with the molecular formula H2. Is that clear? So, what is the density of hydrogen? It is the lightest element and its density is 0.09 grams per decimeter cube. Is that clear? Or you can even say that it is 0.09 gram per liter. This is the density of hydrogen at 1 atmospheric pressure and 0 degree Celsius temperature. Is it clear? And air is 14.4 times. It is how much heavier than hydrogen gas? That is, if you compare it to air, hydrogen gas is much lighter, because air is around about 14.4 times more heavier than hydrogen. Is it clear? Hydrogen gas. Now, to show that hydrogen gas is lighter than air, we have an activity. This activity to show that hydrogen gas is lighter than air. What do we take? We take a Waltz bottle instead of the flat bottom flask in this activity over here. So, it's the same. And we take a delivery tube, a thistle funnel, and then additional thing is caustic soda solution in order to absorb any acid which has come out with the hydrogen gas. And in the zinc granules in the Waltz bottle, we add dilute sulfuric acid through the thistle funnel. Then we can observe the effervescence, that is bubbles coming out, and then the gas is released, hydrogen gas, which passes to the caustic soda solution to absorb any acid which has come out, and this passes through the soap solution in the trough. You can see that the bubbles are coming out and in the form of balloons, because hydrogen gas present inside these bubbles is lighter than air. You can see this, right? Now, you have seen that that on passing hydrogen gas through soap solution, the soap bubbles rise upwards, and these soap bubbles being filled with hydrogen gas only, they rise up in the form of the bubbles or in the form of the balloons that you can see, and just because hydrogen gas is present inside these bubbles, and it is lighter than air. Then we have the solubility of water, that is, it is sparingly soluble in water, that is only about 20 milliliter of hydrogen gas dissolves in 1 liter of water. Only this much you can see. Is that clear? Very little soluble. Solubility is very low in water. Then melting and boiling point. The melting point of hydrogen is minus 259 degrees Celsius. Melting means when it melts in the form of a liquid, that is called the melting point. Although it is a gas, but at a temperature of minus 259 it melts. Is that clear? And boiling point is minus 253 degree Celsius. Is it clear? Then liquefaction, then when the hydrogen gas changes into a liquid, that is changes into a colorless liquid at minus 240 degrees Celsius and 20 atmospheric pressure. So, solubility, that is, it is sparingly soluble in water, very low solubility, that is only about 20 milliliters of hydrogen gas dissolved in 1 liter of water. Then the melting point is minus 259 degrees Celsius and boiling point is minus 253 degree Celsius. Then hydrogen gas changes into a liquid at colorless liquid at minus 240 degrees centigrade at 20 atmospheric pressure. Is that clear? Then the chemical properties of hydrogen. Then the chemical properties, that is action with litmus paper or litmus solution. There are two basic, blue litmus red and red litmus blue color litmus paper is used when we have to test whether particular substance or particular element or a gas is acidic. Is that clear? That the blue litmus changes to red, and for testing the basicity or basic nature of anything, we take a red litmus paper and which turns blue when if a particular substance is basic. So here hydrogen gas is a neutral gas. Is that clear? It is neither acidic nor basic, so it neither turns blue litmus red nor red litmus blue when introduced into a jar containing hydrogen gas. Is it clear? So it is neutral, it is neither basic nor acidic, so it has no effect on the litmus paper. Then combustibility means ability to burn. If something is combustible means it can burn. So when we burn, what do? This is a flask, you can see this is a gas jar and this contains hydrogen. So this apparatus or this type of flask is known as a gas jar. Is that clear? This is a gas jar and this contains hydrogen gas, and when we bring a burning matchstick near the mouth of the gas jar which is filled with hydrogen, the matchstick gets extinguished. It stops burning, and this gas burns with a pop sound. But like this, the sound comes out. That is known as the pop sound. Is that clear? So the hydrogen gas is combustible, but it does not support combustion. That means it burns, but it does not support burning. Is that clear? So in order to see whether it's to show that hydrogen burns but does not support combustion, we can take this activity. Now what do we do here? And activity 3, that is, we need a gas jar, lighted candle, dilute sulfuric acid, thistle funnel, zinc granules, a flat bottom flask, a delivery tube, trough and water. Now we have prepared hydrogen in the lab. You have seen that we have added sulfuric acid at the activity that I had shown just now also. The hydrogen gas is produced by the same method and it is collected in the gas jar. Now we take we take a lighted candle and invert the gas jar containing hydrogen gas on it. What do we do? What do we observe? Is that clear? We with inverted mouth downwards, like this is the jar. This is the jar, you can see, and this is inverted over a candle which was burning earlier. What do we see? As soon as this particular jar contains hydrogen gas, we invert this, then this candle gets extinguished. Is that clear? So consider a jar filled with hydrogen with inverted mouth downwards and introduce a burning candle near the mouth of the jar. The gas burns at the mouth of the jar while the burning candle gets put off. Is that clear? It gets extinguished and it gets put off or gets extinguished. This shows that hydrogen is combustible, but it does not support combustion. It is a non-supporter of combustion. Is it clear? So we have already studied in chemical reaction the reaction which is between hydrogen and oxygen to give water. So hydrogen burns in oxygen with a blue flame to form steam. Is that clear? This is the formula of steam, H2O, and a lot of heat is liberated. The reaction is exothermic. Is it clear? Exothermic means heat is produced. Energy released is used to propel space rockets, and this is being considered as a future fuel because it is non-polluting and the end products are water and heat only. So liquid oxygen, liquid hydrogen are stored in the tanks of these rockets. rockets, I beg your pardon. So the reaction between hydrogen and oxygen is that it produces water as the end product, and this steam is converted into water on condensation. Is it clear? So there is a blue color flame which is the characteristic of the hydrogen flame, and hydrogen forms an explosive mixture with air. So hydrogen forms an explosive mixture with air if oxygen is present in air. It is so dangerous, and when the amount of air is less in the mixture of hydrogen and air, the gas burns with a pop sound. Otherwise this kind of explosion can even occur if the amount of hydrogen is more in air. Is that clear? So it causes serious damage and even injuries. And you have activity number 4 on page number 100. This is an activity to show hydrogen burns in air to form water. What do we take? We take up the setup like this, that is a conical flask and a U tube, a delivery tube, right? These are the two delivery tubes. Then we have the chilled boiling tube. This is the chilled boiling tube. Chill means very cold. Anhydrous calcium chloride solution. Is that clear? Which is placed in this chill tube. Then anhydrous copper sulfate. So anhydrous copper sulfate, we will see where we are using it. That is to check the presence of moisture. Then a beaker, zinc granules and sulfuric acid. Now we have set up the apparatus as you can see in the diagram. Now here we pass moist and pure hydrogen gas through the U tube. Zinc granules and sulfuric acid has been added to this. There is evolution of hydrogen gas which is moist. So this moisture is absorbed by calcium chloride. This calcium chloride has a property of, it is hygroscopic, it has a property of absorbing the moisture or whatever water content a particular thing is containing. This absorbs it. So this is placed in a chilled calcium chloride is placed in this chilled boiling tube, U-shaped tube that you can see, and all the moisture is absorbed. What is left behind is dry hydrogen gas. Is that clear? So burn the dry hydrogen gas that leaves the U tube in a boiling tube. Is that clear? Now what do? We allow the steam to do what? Chilled boiling tube. We take the chilled boiling tube here, we heat it so that whatever moisture that has been produced by coming in contact with oxygen, it comes down in the form of water. Is that clear? Burn the dry hydrogen gas that leaves the U tube in the boiling tube. Again, heat this cold hydrogen gas will come from here, and then it will come in contact with this tube. Then what will happen? Then we allow the steam to come in contact with the inner surface of the chilled boiling tube. This is the chilled boiling tube. And then to check that whether water has been formed or not, we do what? Water in the liquid form, sorry, not vapor. So 2-3 drops of the obtained substance on the anhydrous copper sulfate. Anhydrous copper sulfate is what? It is white colored. So what do we do? What is the observation? The hydrogen gas burns in oxygen. So the hydrogen gas burns in oxygen that is present in air with a blue flame and produces steam. So the steam condenses to form water. It collects in the beaker placed below the boiling tube. Here you can see water has formed, and when these water droplets are poured over white colored anhydrous copper sulfate, I told you this is anhydrous copper sulfate is white. This copper sulfate turns blue as soon as water is added to it. So hydrogen gas on burning with oxygen of air, it forms water. Is it clear? I hope you have understood this. Is that clear? The hydrogen gas on burning, or coming in contact with the oxygen of air, it burns with a blue flame and it produces steam, and this steam condenses to form water, and it collects in the beaker that is placed over here. Is that clear? Then the reaction with chlorine. That is, we take equal volumes of hydrogen and chlorine gas. Now this chlorine gas is of course greenish yellow in color, and it combines slowly to form a colorless hydrogen chloride gas. This is colorless. Is that clear? And this reaction occurs in diffuse sunlight only. Diffuse sunlight means not direct sunlight and not in the dark, but it is a slow reaction and it occurs in diffuse sunlight. In direct sunlight, it will be an explosion. Is that clear? This reaction is explosive in nature if it is allowed to occur in bright sunlight. So it will be always preferable to do, or it is done in direct in diffuse sunlight only, where the sunlight is not direct. Is that clear? Then there is an activity 5 to show that the formation of hydrogen chloride gas. What do we take? We take 2 jars. In one jar we have the chlorine gas, in another jar we have hydrogen gas. We open the lid of the gas jar and containing chlorine gas and invert it on the gas jar which contains hydrogen gas. Is it clear? And they react together, and this setup is basically placed in diffuse sunlight, and what do we observe? That slowly the greenish yellow color disappears and these gases react together and form a colorless gas which is hydrogen chloride gas. Then hydrogen also reacts with other nonmetals as well. That is the reaction with hydrogen and nitrogen, and this reaction between hydrogen and nitrogen is also known as the Haber's process, and this reaction is a reversible reaction, and it takes place at a temperature of 450 to 500 degrees Celsius and pressure of 200 atmospheres in the presence of iron as the catalyst and molybdenum as a promoter, and the product is ammonia gas. So that is the reaction between hydrogen and nitrogen is a reversible reaction. You can see this type of arrow, a double-headed arrow, that is an arrow in 2 sides, and this is a single arrow that is contains the arrowhead, full arrowhead. Here half arrowheads are there on the 2 arrows. That means the reaction can take place in the backward direction also and in the forward direction also, and here it can be in one direction. Once hydrogen sulfide is formed, it will not go back. So anyhow, this reaction I will explain later. So this takes place at a temperature of 400 to 500 degrees Celsius. Is that clear? This reaction, this is known as Haber's process, and in the presence of a catalyst, iron and molybdenum as the promoter, and the product that is formed is of course ammonia. Then we have the reaction with sulfur, before this reaction ammonia, we have production of heat also, where this is known as Haber's reaction, I just told you, and this is exothermic because a lot of heat is liberated in this reaction. Then we have the reaction with sulfur. Hydrogen combines with sulfur and with boiling sulfur, that is, this sulfur has to be in the liquid form, that boiling sulfur to form hydrogen sulfide gas. Remember this, that both sulfur will not be in the form of a gas, but instead it will be in the form of a liquid. So we boil the sulfur and then they react together to form hydrogen sulfide gas, and this gas has a characteristic smell of rotten eggs. Is that clear? So remember, this particular gas has the characteristic smell of rotten eggs. Then the reaction with carbon, that is, hydrogen reacts with carbon. When hydrogen gas is strongly heated with carbon, it forms methane gas. The reaction is that is hydrogen gas, reacts with carbon when it is heated to form methane gas. This is the formula of methane. This is a gas. Is it clear? Then the reaction with metals. Reaction with metals, they form hydrides. Is that clear? At high temperatures. So metals like sodium, potassium, calcium, and even lithium, they react with hydrogen at high temperature and they form the corresponding metal hydride. For example, when hydrogen gas is passed over heated sodium, then sodium hydride is formed. Is that clear? And similarly, when hydrogen gas is passed over heated calcium, then we get calcium hydride. Similarly, lithium, when lithium is passed over hydrogen, then hydrogen gas is passed over heated lithium, then what do we get? We will get lithium hydride. Then the reaction with metallic oxides. So similarly, the metallic oxides like ferric oxide and lead oxide, then when hydrogen is gas is passed over these heated metallic oxide, what do this do? It removes oxygen from the metallic oxide. Now you can see this is the metallic oxide, and when hydrogen gas is passed over, the hydrogen is removed. Like the ferric oxide has changed into iron, and lead oxide has changed into lead, and water is formed. Is that clear? So here I have told you earlier that the substances which remove oxygen are known as the reducing agent, and which add hydrogen are known as the reducing agent. Is that clear? So hydrogen has removed oxygen and it has added hydrogen, so it is known as a reducing agent just because it has removed oxygen from iron. So it has acted as a reducing agent, which we will discuss later in this chapter. Is it clear? So when these metallic oxide react with hydrogen, they are reduced to their corresponding metals and water is formed. Is it clear? Please revise the properties properly. Allah Hafiz.